fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Wasserkroog, and today we're going to be reviewing one of my most anticipated films of the year and one of my most anticipated films of the summer, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, for me, I have been anticipating this movie pretty much since I first heard about it. And the main reason why I was so anticipated of this film, not because of the multiverse stuff, which, yes, after Spider-Man No Way Home and Loki and stuff like that, the multiverse thing has become a very big facet of the MCU. But the reason why I was so intrigued by this film from the very first moment I heard about it was that they announced this as the very first MCU horror film, which immediately sparked my peak interest. Now, Scott Derrickson was originally supposed to direct this. He dropped out, and then they brought in Sam Raimi. I love Sam Raimi as a director. Obviously, I love at least 2 out of the 3 Spider-Man films, and then I love the Evil Dead franchise, whether it be the movies or the TV series Ash from the Evil Dead. So knowing that his eye was going to be on this, my main question was going to be, how much are they going to let Sam Raimi be Sam Raimi in this, and how much is Disney and Feige and the MCU really going to kind of control his direction in this, which, for some people like Taika Waititi with Thor Ragnarok, they let him kind of go free willy with this, but I didn't know how much they were going to let Sam go with this. So going into this film, for anyone who doesn't know the main plot, obviously you're following Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and he basically comes across this girl named American Chavez, played by, I'm going to say the name wrong, it's like Xochitl Gomez? I have no idea. I probably said it wrong. And basically she has the ability to basically travel through the multiverses at will. Even though she doesn't have her powers harnessed as well at the beginning. But nonetheless, there are certain people who want to harness her power so that way they can travel the multiverses at whatever their pleasure and do what they want to do with it for their own reasons. And it's up to Doctor Strange to basically keep her safe and protected from the people who are trying to take it. That's about as far as I'm going to go in terms of the plot, because there's so much of this movie that you say one thing and it's literally going to spoil the movie. This is a very, very hard movie to talk about in a non-spoiler review, which is why Brian Michaels and myself did shoot a spoiler review that will be out later this weekend. In terms of the characters of this film, you got Benedict Cumberbatch back as Doctor Strange. Benedict has kind of really came into his own with this character, and if you've liked his performance as Doctor Strange so far in the previous MCU films, you're going to love him in this. He has definitely kind of taken a liking to Sam Raimi's direction in this film and has really kind of embraced the crazy and the madness of it all and the weirdness of this, and really rolls into it with every scene that he goes through. And I think this is probably one of my favorite performances from Benedict so far with how he does in this film. Benedict Wong as Wong, he's slowly climbing up the ranks as one of my favorite characters of the MCU. He comes in, makes you laugh, does something cool, side exits, comes back later, rinse, repeat, and he does it so well that anytime Wong comes on the screen, you're immediately excited. America Chavez, I'm not going to try to say the actress's name again because I know I'll say it wrong. She is solid in the role, but I feel like the film, even though it's at a 2-hour and 6 runtime, the movie moves quick and fast, does not leave a lot of room to explain and talk about a lot of things outside of certain facets of the story. The movie could have used probably about 20 more minutes of story time to really kind of flesh out a lot of the main plot, but America Chavez is probably the one character that kind of doesn't get as much backing of story that we probably could have used. What we do get of her in the film is solid, and her performance is actually well done throughout, but she was kind of felt like more of like the MacGuffin of the story, and not someone that not that I don't care to see her anymore, but she's definitely a character by the end of this film that I was like, if I see her, great, if I don't, I'm okay. Once again, the MVP definitely has to go to Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff. Coming off hot off of Wandavision, where she went from a character with Scarlet Witch that's like, oh yeah, she's a side character for the Avengers, to having WandaVision and basically coming out with knockout performances from that TV series. She basically continues that with Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. I will say this for everyone, if you have not seen WandaVision or you do not remember much of WandaVision, WandaVision is a must watch before you go see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The storylines that accrue or occur from WandaVision are greatly, greatly used in this movie, especially for Elizabeth Olsen's character. So either do a deep dive, rewatch, whatever. You need to know what happens in WandaVision before going into this film because it is very important to you to know that. Elizabeth Olsen puts on another fantastic performance of this tortured character of Wanda, going through everything that she went through with WandaVision, which I won't say just in case people haven't seen it. She knocks it out of the park. She's easily one of the best performers of the MCU by far, and she continues that performance in this role. The thing that I said earlier in the review is the thing that grasped me about this film was that it was trying to be a horror film, and Sam Raimi knocks this out of the park. This is a true and true MCU horror film. I lost track of how many times I said holy shit while watching this movie because there are so many moments that caught me off guard. Brutality, gore, scary pop-ups, all this kind of stuff. And Sam Raimi does this stuff very, very well. And that's what a lot of people with Sam Raimi. You're going to get the good and the bad with Sam Raimi in this. Depending on how you feel about Sam Raimi as a director and his previous films is greatly going to dictate how well you will like what he does in this film. I love Sam Raimi, so therefore I loved a lot of the things he did in this film. I'm not going to say that he's perfect with his direction in this. There's certain things he could have done a little bit better or cleaned it up a little bit. But for the most part, everything he did, I loved. The aesthetics he puts you through with the horror aspects, the way he shoots certain things, the way he does the camera angles of certain horrific elements, the way he uses his basically his scenery and his backgrounds to heighten the moments that you're in are top notch. I loved every single horror aspect that they did in this film with everything they had to go through. About an hour in the film, we do get a big mic drop moment with something in the film. I'm not going to say what it is, but it literally left me with my hands up in the air going, fuck yeah! And I was so excited, and then it just kept going and going and going from there. I was incredibly happy with what I got while watching this film. I love the performances of everyone in this. I love the action. I love the story that we had. Could it use about 20 more minutes of story to kind of fatten it up and make it a little bit stronger? Sure. Is there some dialogue here and there that's not quite as strong? Sure. But all in all, everything around that, I'm just nitpicking at that point. I loved so much of what I saw in this. And I know I'm being very, very vague, and normally I'd go into greater detail about these things, but there's so much in this movie that I cannot say without leading it down a path of spoilers that I'm not going to try to do that here. Like I said, if you want to know more, watch the spoiler review, find out what I thought about it from there with Brian Michaels. This is a movie that if you, like I said, if you want to see what a MCU horror film is like, you need to check this movie out. If you're a fan of Doctor Strange, Wanda Maximoff, Wong, definitely check this movie out. You will not be disappointed. If you're not a fan of Sam Raimi, temper your expectations because, like I said, you gotta like his style of filming. This is definitely something that the MCU and Kevin Feige let Sam take full control of this film. This is a very, very Sam Raimi movie, which, like I said, I was fine with. A lot of people won't be fine with that. I was not one of them, obviously, but I had a blast watching this film. I had so much fun watching this movie. I cannot wait to see it again. It is up there on one of my favorite MCU films. Now, granted, I could just be, the recency of it all. I could watch this 3 days from now, which I probably will watch it within the next week or so, and I might feel entirely different. I might not like it nearly as much as I do right now. Who knows? But as of right now, I love Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I strongly recommend checking this out. If you've got kids, there are some frightening moments, there are some scary moments that could potentially give them nightmares, so be prepared for that. There's definitely some frightening imagery in the film. I obviously didn't find it scary, but there were moments where I was going, dang, they actually went there. I can't believe they actually went there with this, but I loved it because of that. Going to my overall score, I'm kind of jumping all over the place for me right now, so I'm going to give it a 92. Like I said, I've gone from 90 to 91 to 92 to 93. I'll rest it at a 92 for right now, with the chance of it probably changing for the better or the worse here when I see it again next week. Definitely strong recommendation for MCU fans, Sam Raimi fans, Doctor Strange fans, and of course, Wanda Maximoff fans. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, you get to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, like I said, Brian, Mike, and myself will be back for a spoiler review of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where we basically will go over everything about the movie, what we liked, what we didn't like, and basically all the stuff that I couldn't talk about with you right here, right now. We also got movies next week. We got Firestarter and Senior Year. I don't know if I'm going to watch either one of those, but if we do, we will have reviews up here on the channel. And then Brian and I will be back next week for a Movie Crusaders chat about, where we talk about movie marketing, basically about how they market their movies, trailers, all that fun stuff. Also, this week we came out with our X-Men and Fantastic Four fantasy dream casting, where we basically pick who we want to be casted for the Fantastic Four and the X-Men characters in the MCU. Some of your picks will surprise you. But yes, until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.